Even Breakup, a billionaire foodie flirtation by M.R. Malik and R.B. McKerry. Chapter 1. Hannah. And blocked, I hollered, clicking my mouse more aggressively than strictly necessary to snip the last and final thread to my toxic ex. I rocked back in my bar stool, feeling the weight of years of toxic, thieving, gaslighting, negging level assholery lift right off of me with this final act, blocking him across every social platform known to mankind. Instagram, TikTok, hell, even LinkedIn are now safe spaces again, as I shunted that smug-faced gaslighter into an interweb black hole. I was still riding the high of taking back my peace, as the girlies would say, when I heard the back door to my restaurant, Barakatu Cafe, creaking open, though I definitely didn't hear anyone knocking first. Shrugging, I figured that Nadir, the sweet kid who sometimes hauled in cuts of beef and lamb from the halal butcher down the street, was making a delivery on his father's behalf. After 5 years of using his family as my exclusive supplier for the halal portion of my menu, we'd gotten really comfortable together and had an open door policy. They often strolled in at all times to get me my order before the rush of the week, but they did usually knock first. After the week I just had, it was also possible that I'd lost track of my orders altogether. I went from relatively happy in my years-long partnership with Lex to having my world rocked after discovering his financial and physical infidelity. I allowed myself 1 hour of screaming and raging at him before I kicked him out of our shared apartment and started the process of disentangling the life we'd built together. That's when the stories came out. Friends and employees came forward and told me about his consistent bad behavior, from gross lingering stares to theft. I felt so icky, so deceived, and so ashamed that I let this man near my people. God, even my business wasn't safe from his sticky fingers. Just goes to show you, trust your gut, ladies, and go through his phone is my new motto forever after this train wreck of a breakup. I felt the dark clouds closing in on me. I fought off the negative self-talk all week, swept up with rage, cleaning up the mess I made with my bad choice in partner. But this final digital door closed felt too much like the end of the initial crisis, and my body was hinting that now may be the time to completely fall apart. Not yet, I told myself. Gotta make sure Nadir takes care of my order. You know where the freezer is? I called over my shoulder, again balancing on the back legs of my stool. Go ahead and shelve it, and I'll Venmo your pop tonight.
Excuse me, miss,
replied a voice. A very deep, very male, and most importantly, very not Nadir's voice called out from the back of my restaurant in response. Wait, what? Who is that? I said in a completely calm, not at all panicked or shrill tone. I scrambled to meet the voice head on, forgetting only 2 of the 3 bar stool legs were firmly on the ground. Twisting to get off the stool was definitely not the right move, as the bar stool slipped out from under me. I caught the edge of the bar just in time and steadied myself, still firmly seated. For a second, I had things under control and my dignity full in hand. Then I wobbled again and toppled sideways off the damn stool, with my face rapidly leading the way to the ground. A large, olive-skinned hand appeared out of nowhere to grab me at the elbow about a half heartbeat, before my nose introduced itself to the tile flooring of my restaurant. For a few seconds, all I could do was shift my gaze between said tile, which could honestly do with another polish before we opened back up tomorrow, and that large, warm hand wrapped surprisingly gently around my elbow. After catching my breath, I gathered enough fortitude to look up to the rest of my apparent savior and possible, albeit polite, burglar. An Arab man, maybe from the Gulf, looked down at me, his back torqued forward at what had to be an uncomfortable angle. He wore a well-tailored suit, the kind that wouldn't rip over such a small thing as snatching a grown woman out of the air one-handed. Sharp features, almost handsome if you were into that kind of thing, and with a hawkish nose below dark eyes that eyes simmered with, what, amusement? Annoyance? Thanks, I said. Who the hell are you?
I'm your 1 o'clock, Miss Levi,
replied the tall, dark, and almost handsome stranger, still holding me a foot off the hard tile of my restaurant floor. 1 o'clock what? I snapped, as my cheeks began to flush with delayed onset embarrassment for having almost face planted in front of this man.
Your 1 o'clock appointment,
answered my visitor, his tone exasperated.
I'm Ali, and I work for the prince who wants to build your next restaurant. Chapter 2, Ali. Hannah Levi looked at me in shock, which was a familiar occurrence in my life. It tended to happen when I mentioned the whole "I work for a prince" bit. It also happened to be a lie. Well, partly a lie. The truth was, my employer is not going to build anything because I don't have a boss. In fact, I've never had a boss, unless you count my father, who passed away to leave me with the family to take care of. It is a lot of work, my family. But I still make an effort to carve out a week or two of time for myself every year or so, in order to keep from exploding at some cousin who's crashed their 9th Lamborghini, or snap at my baby sister, who was gentle as a lamb in most circumstances that didn't involve creating elaborate pranks at my expense. My spare time was more than valuable. It was priceless, which is why I'd made sure my team of assistants arranged this meeting with Hannah Levi's team some 2 months prior, confirmed her attendance no fewer than 3 times in as many weeks, and even sent reminders via text and email just this morning. Despite this, it was clear from the look of utter incomprehension on Miss Levi's face that she had not one clue of our appointment, why I was here, or who I was, or rather, no clue of who I was pretending to be.
Well, Mr. 1 o'clock,
said Miss Levi.
Are you going to let go of me?
I blinked once, twice, 3 times. Let go? Let go of what? Oh. My cheeks warmed as a blush threatened to peek through the melanin in my skin. When I'd entered the dining room of the restaurant in search of my appointment, I'd barely had time to think before I'd seen Miss Levi topple off the seat of her too tall bar stool. I'd rushed forward in time to meet her, which wasn't hard given how cramped the restaurant was, and managed to grab her arm in time to keep her from smashing into tile flooring. Said elbow was still clutched in my grasp, a grasp that still suspended Miss Levi's upper body above the tile while her rump and legs were still toned legs, a pair of jean short shorts, and an equally tiny bubblegum pink tank top that was beginning to ride up. Dark eyes and full lips painted a deep crimson. My blush deepened. My apologies, yes, I snapped, before realizing that, well, I couldn't simply let go of her as I just promised. If I let go, she'll end up fully on the ground. Well, it wouldn't be very gentlemanly, so I rather awkwardly stepped in closer to pull her fully upright and back into her seat before I released my grip. My apologies, I repeated, I appear to have, She stared back at me, waiting for me to finish a sentence. By now, my cheeks were so fully aflame that one could have seared a fine steak on my stubble. I'd walked in so ready for this meeting, eager to meet the genius behind Barakatu Cafe and cement Hannah Levi's venture with my boss. Instead, I caught her off guard and mid-fall, losing my own composure in the meantime. No sense in trying to barrel through as if this hadn't happened, as my father would have done. At this point, the best I could hope for, and the fastest route to my goal, would be a reset. "I'm sorry, Miss Levi," I said with a frown. "Would you mind if I started over?" Hannah Levi held that stare for a moment longer while rubbing absently at her elbow. Then she seemed to make up her mind because she graced me with a small smile.
Given that you just saved me from a concussion, sure, let's start over. But I still don't know who you are. Why don't you start there?
"Thank you, Miss Levi," I said, relaxing a bit. "I am Ali Al-Amin, the legal counsel for Prince Ali bin Tariq. I am here to finalize your agreement with my client so that we can begin work on building your new restaurant by the end of this month."
Welcome to Even Breakup by M.R. Malik and R.B. McKerry. Want more? Check out the full series on Amazon Kindle. Copyright 2025. R.B. McKerry and M.R. Malik.